Hi there, Neil here. I want to kick this off with a quick story. Think late 90s. I was about 10 years old at the time, and Friday nights, if you're around 10 years old, what are you doing on the weekends on a Friday night? Probably perusing your local video rental store. If you guys remember that, taking a walk down nostalgia lane. So my parents actually had two video rental stores, kind of like the Blockbusters. They're just called Video Town. And I remember being in there. The year is probably 1999. I think The Matrix had just come out, so everyone was wearing those goofy Morpheus glasses, and it was just a party in there. There's balloons everywhere. People were crowded up, and I remember walking around checking out some of the movies. And I was with both of my parents. My parents were both immigrants from India, came to this country with absolutely nothing, and built these stores, these video rental stores. And at the time in 1999, they were doing very well. So I was with my parents, and my dad, looking around very proudly at kind of what he built, said, "Son, this is how local businesses are meant to be." And my mother, at the same time, turned to me and, wise beyond years, said, "These are the golden years. Let's enjoy it while it lasts." And I think we all know what happens next in this story. Redbox came out, Netflix came out, and video rental stores went away. Um, and funny side note, my dad actually kept his store, his last store, until 2018. So a very long time. And I was asking him when he closed it if he was sad right as he shut the door. And he just looked at me and said, at least I beat Blockbuster," and shut the door. So yeah, a funny side note. Anyways, I bring up the story for two main reasons. One, that there is a perception on what local businesses are in the market, kind of like what my parents have. Heavy overhead, lots of employees, a physical storefront. That's just the old school thinking of what local businesses are. And historically, that's what they've always been. And the second's what my mother had said, which is there are golden years. There's a right place and the right time for everything. For my parents, the right place, right time that they were in was for video rental stores. They did very well in the late 90s for video rental stores because that was the right place and the right time for it. I think right now in the local market, there's not a better time to disrupt local businesses. It is the right place and the right time for local businesses for a few reasons, which I'm going to go over here. Technology has never made it easier to run a local business remotely, and you could take advantages of the world to dominate what we're doing over here. So to quickly introduce myself, my name is Neel Parekh. I am the CEO of MaidThis Franchise. MaidThis Franchise is the first US-based franchise focusing on vacation rental cleanings. We also do regular residential wear, but our niche is on the vacation rental side. So we are a remote concept, a work from anywhere concept. I personally have been traveling the last 5 years to more than 30 countries while scaling my company. And what we're going to talk about today are some of the key lessons I learned from scaling my company to $2 million per year while traveling the world, and how you can do the same. So let's get started. All right. So I'm going to quickly go over a couple things over here. This is me at my corporate job on the left. I'm going to start off with my story. Then we're going to go into three main points and three kind of takeaways that I've had throughout the years, which hopefully can be very helpful to you. So I was working in corporate in LA. I'm from California. Starting 2011, when I graduated college, I went straight to work at a venture capital company. So working in finance, and loved the people I was working with, but it was the most corporate environment you could think of. People walk down the hallways and say "Happy Hump Day." There's a lot of these things with the corporate environment. So the whole time I kept trying to find different side hustles to work on. And I had two whys for myself. One, I wanted to quit and travel at some point. That was one big thing I wanted to do. And the second part was I wanted to provide financially for my parents. The video rental stores were not doing very well at the time, as you guys know. So I wanted to provide financially for them. That was my motivation for why I started a side hustle. So as I was experimenting with so many different things, I came across a post on Reddit of a guy who started a local cleaning company. He listed the steps to do it, and I thought, what the hell? This is one of many things I'm doing. I'm going to go and try this as well. So I went and started the local cleaning company based on that, and that's how I came up with MaidThis Cleaning. Dirty secret, I've sucked at cleaning. I've never done cleaning before, but hey, I started a cleaning company. And it was at this time where I started it, MaidThis was growing, but I had in my mind what a local business would be, the perception of what a local business is. I thought at some point I would have to open up an office, have heavy overhead. I'm stuck to one location. I have to hire only in my city. But at the same time, I wanted to travel. So while MaidThis was kind of growing in the background and doing well, I kept looking at what are normal traditional ways of having an online remote business. And many of you who might have gone down this path of experimenting what you could do as kind of a side hustle have probably gone along the same path as I have, which is you look at a blog and the guy is pitching you how to start like an Amazon FBA business, e-commerce, digital marketing, blogging, freelancing, anything. I've tried a million different things because I thought that's what you had to do in order to have a side business where you could actually travel and not have to be physically in one location. So I was at a conference during the process for a company called Flippa. And Flippa is a marketplace where you could buy and sell websites. Anyways, at the conference, just trying to figure out how to get my pet hair vacuum blog up and running, something like that. And I casually mentioned to this guy I had made this running, and he said something which gave me an aha moment. He's like, well, if you already have a business, why are you even here? And that kind of set off my train of thought. And I asked myself this question: can I run a local business and be location independent? So I kind of set off on a quest to see if I could accomplish it. And again, this is challenging kind of the beliefs of what a traditional local business is and what it's historically been forever, because up until today, there's never been a time where you could actually run it remotely. So throughout this quest, I learned a few things. One thing I want to talk about first before I get into that, biggest lesson number one, you can't steer a parked car. Beware of analysis paralysis. Many of you might be testing a bunch of different things just like I have, and I got stuck for years not taking action on different business ideas. Sometimes I feel like you could fall into a trap of learning, absorbing knowledge, buying courses, reading books, talking to people online, and you feel like you're being very productive, but the reality is you're not. And that's what I call analysis paralysis. You can't steer a parked car, just remember that. So the important thing I learned is you should just take imperfect action and improve things as you go. That's the best way to do it. I don't know if any of you guys watched Dragon Ball Z back in the day. I used to. It's kind of like where the main character is powering up, and then 5 episodes later, he's still powering up. That's how I see analysis paralysis. So just be aware of this if you are doing it. Speaking of you can't steer a parked car, as I got into this and as I had that paradigm shift of can I run a local business remotely, I learned so many things. The main thing is that remote local companies have a massive competitive advantage at the local level compared to other companies. Here's a few things we're going to talk about: is how to bring global marketing tactics down to the local level and why that is your competitive advantage, how to build your global team, and how to use those first 2 steps to then dominate a niche of where you're in.